Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The world is changing. Sand shifting under your feet every single day. And most of it's due to the fact that the world is going to change. The problem is, what is it going to change to? Is it changing for the better or is it changing for the worse? Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you guys are with me. I appreciate my guest host that were able to fill in for me for a few days while I was out. And anyway, what am I talking about with the world changing? So, for example, we were talking about having flying cars. Well, right now we don't have flying cars, but we do have cars that will drive you without a driver. Uber is testing these. So are Google and other companies. They want to take the person out of things. We've done it in manufacturing. We've done it to some degree in retail, which is nothing. When I say retail, I'm talking about Amazon's got this store where you go in, grab all your gear, walk out, bloop, no checker. The food establishments are looking at kiosks where it'll make your McDonald's burger and bloop, 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 deliver it without anybody touching it. A human doesn't even have to touch it. Our world is changing. So now we've got these cars that will drive themselves that Uber's working on and others. And of course, you guys got the news last week sometime that an Uber car killed somebody. I don't know if you saw the video, but a lady was walking across the street with her bike and car just plowed into her. The passenger was like, whoa. There was nothing that person could say, nothing that person could do. Now, let's face it, Uber's going to have a lawsuit. Somebody's going to make a bunch of money on it. But when you hear a lawsuit, don't get all excited about it because that just means you're going to pay for it. See, when a lawsuit occurs, then it means that the company is going to have to recover that money. Companies don't lose money. They're going to recover it. The services for Uber will go up, and we will incrementally all pay for the development of these passenger or driverless cars. And that's okay. I mean, it's a cost of technology. I don't think it's going to bode, it helps the person who got run over by the bike. But let's talk about the person that got run over by the bike. I don't know what that person was doing. It looked like a woman. Didn't look like she was on a cell phone. But I'll tell you this, wasn't paying attention at all. And what I can also tell you from the video, now these are just observational things. I don't have a dog in the fight here. I'm only bringing these things up for you to think about. Because the sands are shifting beneath our feet, and we have to understand what's coming. So this car is cruising along. Any driver that's paying attention is going to stop. This person wouldn't have gotten hit. Now, the person was crossing in the middle of the road. It was disobeying the law. He or she, I think it was a she, disobeying the law. And the car, it was fast. Zzz, pop, and then it just stopped. And, of course, I didn't see whether the woman got thrown 10 feet or 50 feet or whatever. They showed the bike. It was completely, it was twisted. And the person obviously died. The person in the car has an experience, to say the least. You want to talk about cocktail party conversation. You want to talk about somebody. I haven't seen the media on it, but was this person in the media? Because this lady that was in the car who was texting, looking up, and they were filming because the cars have this thing where it can film you, which is kind of a cool thing. If you like Big Brother. But she's like, oh my goodness, that's a story to tell. I was the first passenger in an Uber car who killed somebody. Can you imagine being deposed by the defense attorney? I'd like to call the person, to go against the car, the killer, because the car is a killer. If I'm the defense attorney, that car is a killer, and I have the person in the car who can vouch for this. And this person comes up and says, I was in the car, and that car had no intention of stopping. I'm not laughing at the fact that somebody died. It was bound to happen. I didn't think it was going to be a pedestrian. You would think the car would have. I've seen these cars. They brag about this technology that will make it stop before it hits something. What went wrong? I don't know. I'm telling you, folks, the grounds are shifting under your feet. I'm giving you the metaphor for life here. What went wrong with the Uber driverless car? And the woman who was the passenger, she was cool, man. She was like, shoot, I'm just going to text and let everybody know I'm in the Uber car driving along. Here's driverless. Nobody. Oh, shoot. What was that? Was that a deer? No. Well, maybe. It could have been Mommy Dearest. It could have been Dear Old Mommy. It could have been Dear John. I don't know, but this lady was very comfortable riding in this car until it killed somebody. And I see leftism that way. Look, I get it. It's technology. We got to move forward. It's going to move forward. And eventually it probably will be safe. I don't know that I'm ever going to trust it. I've talked to people about this before. I don't know that I'll ever trust a driver. I don't even trust a car when there's a driver in it and I'm in the back seat of the front. I'm still looking. I told a story once about one of my buddies. We were all going to New Orleans, and we rented a van to save money because we didn't want to take separate cars. And so we all chipped in on renting this van. There's like 8 of us in there, and we're cruising along the way. I'm driving it first. I get tired, and so I said, okay, hey, you want to drive, Jerry? And Jerry's like, yeah, I'm ready. And I verified with him because we're driving through the night. I've driven quite a ways, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, you game? Yeah, I'm game. So I put him in there. I get up in the passenger seat. Everybody else is asleep in the back. We're cruising down the road, and I'm trying to, okay, do I trust this dude or not? And I'm closing my eyes, and suddenly I kind of feel a sway, and I was like, whoa, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. But then I got suspicious. So I decided I'm going to watch this clown. And I'm watching him, and his eyes are falling asleep as he's weaving in his van. And I'm like, Jerry. And I scream at him, hey, I'm good. I'm like, pull over. I'll drive. I don't even trust driver cars, much less driverless cars. Are you kidding? I'm sure at some point, look, let's face it, a car is better off, a machine is better off of staying awake than a human. But right now, I don't trust it. It's not going to run off the road when a deer jumps it. What's it going to do when something jumps in front of the car? Is it going to veer off the road? I don't trust it. I call me a control freak, but when it has to do with cars, I'm watching you. And I'm back seat, front seat driving too. Hey, you too close. You tailgating. You better back up, move over. Signal before. Do you see that guy? I'm that dude. Bet you are too to some degree. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about book burnings. What?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Book burnings. Yep. Book burnings. See, that was something that we thought was in the past, right? Book burnings. Very archaic, it sounds. You remember when they would get in those little towns, they would burn all the books that were, not pro-Bible and pro-Jesus and God and all this other stuff. And they'd burn, Uncle Tom and all these other things because, heretics are books about witches and whatever else. I don't know what they burn, but they burn a lot of books, right? We've heard about book burnings. Glad you guys are here. Kevin Jackson, KJRadio.com is where you can reach us if you want to call the show, 844-551-8255. I'm going to make you a bet. I'm going to make you a bet that some of the things we talk about on this show you've never considered. You would have never thought about had somebody like me not brought it up to you. Now, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because I think that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to challenge your thoughts and give you something to go and talk to somebody else about and say, what do you think about this concept? I think that's what I'm not paid to do it. In fact, I lose money to do it in radio. You guys can help if you want. You can always contribute to what we do here. I'm talking about not just financially, but you can contribute by getting other people to listen so we can, afford to do this show. But, that's not please send us some money. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you, if you want to help, you can help. But I come on here because I believe that there's knowledge that I have to impart upon you that in concepts that you haven't thought about. Now, where do they come to me from? All I can say is God has given me a very fertile brain, a fertile mind. And when I think about these things, because I'm thinking about the problems that we always face and how do we bridge these gaps? And so book burnings came to mind. And you're going, Kevin, how in the heck is book burnings coming to mind? We haven't seen anybody burning books. This is crazy. Books are being burned, folks, in this country every single day. Book burnings are happening right around you. And you're going, what? Kevin, please explain. Okay, so I'm going to explain. I got a tweet from a guy. He's one of my favorite Twitter people. His name is Educating Liberals, @Education for Libs. And he said this: YouTube is now banning content that features guns. Yep, take away the guns, censor free speech, and do not allow other opinion unless it suits the agenda. Germany 1933 all over again. When do we start burning books? That's what he said. That was his tweet. YouTube is banning content that has guns, so a lot of stuff's got to go off there. By the way, hey, YouTube, just in case you didn't know it, remove all your Hollywood crap. It's all got guns in it, except for, fried green tomatoes and a couple of chick flicks. But for the most part, it's got guns. So my question to them would be, how do we fight back on YouTube? Because we know they're not going to ban the next Sylvester Stallone movie or Jason Statham or Bourne from what's his face or any of the Affleck movies and Matt Dillon's and everybody. Not Matt Dillon, Matt Damon. Man, all them white boys look alike. You know what I'm talking about. So, but you can bet anything to do with the NRA, anything to do with pro Second Amendment, blah blah blah, gone. They're banning it. Now he asked, when do we start burning books? And I said, we already did. We've already started. And here's what I want you to consider. How do we get our news and information? Anybody want to take? Oh, I know what you're saying, Kevin. Well, cable TV, and then I get mine off of, the internet. Okay, great. So you get your news and information digitally, correct? Most of it is digital. Book burnings are happening to you every single day. Facebook is digitally burning books. Books of people's creation, websites being banned. What do you think a banned website is? It is nothing more than burning of people's books. I've written 3 books. So everybody is writing now in that compilation of their work. They're called blogs. That compilation of their work are their books. Some people, the amount of blogs I've written, I could have written 50 books. If I had the time, I'd consolidate all of it and I would share all this information with you. Most of it, to be honest, you don't even see. I don't have enough people that hit my website in a month to say grace over, especially these days, because Zuckerberg is making sure of that. But I will tell you, I've written a volume on all of these various concepts, things that I think are mind-blowing exploration, things that deserve to be studied in colleges and universities. And I'm not here going, Kevin is such an amazing thinker. I'm not saying that at all. But I will tell you this, I am a thinker, and I think I'm pretty good at it. And many of the things and the concepts that I've talked about on this program are things that you could easily share in colleges and have debates over and discussions around. It's interesting things. And I'm not going to go into any detail around some of those, but I did a thing on proof of God that I think is one of the best things I've ever written. It's in my first book, The Big Black Lie. Proof of God. And I've debated this. Look for debates on this subject. Look for contrarian opinions. I've posted, my thesis, if you will, to all leftists that I meet, particularly atheists, and none of them can shoot holes in it. It's one of my most amazing works. And I bring this up to say it's worthy of study. But the majority of it's never going to get seen. You want to know why? Because Google and Facebook and Twitter are burning our books. Do you understand? We are so caught up in the past as conservatives, the way things were. We're very nostalgic, and it's AKA the word conservatism, that we miss the things that are happening right under our noses, right before our very eyes. How things get so twisted, how right becomes wrong, left becomes right, and so on and so forth. And then we wonder, why is the world so crazy? Why? Facebook and Google, I'll tell you exactly what should happen to them. The government should provide oversight over them and say, you can no longer censor information according to your so-called standards. You have made a public platform that people support. They build their own little worlds inside of that platform, and you can't determine what's a good world and what's an acceptable world and what's an unacceptable world. You can't do that. And as sad as that is to say, that means that if you're a hate monger, like a neo-Nazi person or a new Black Panther Party member, Facebook needs to allow you to have your say. You can look for your audience. I don't like those people either. But they have rights. And who is Facebook to determine what the world is going to be? Who is Google to determine that? To say, I'm not going to let advertisers on your page or this or that or the other. And the advertisers go, well, we don't want to be associated with that. What makes you think somebody's going to associate you with neo-Nazis because you say, here's our toothpaste? Do neo-Nazis not brush their teeth? I get what the thing is, but how far do we go? Leftists is taking it way too far. So what's happening, folks? They're burning our books every single day. The media that doesn't talk about Donald Trump's exploits are burning his books. Think about it differently. That's all I'm asking you to do.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And here's what blows me away. I joke about race, but I've been in I've been in a fight with a black guy. This is an astounding statistic. Has any white guy ever been in a fight with a black guy? I don't want to make excuses or sound stereotypical, but my fight happened at night. I was at a disadvantage. Yeah, I've been there, people. Fighting a black guy at night is kind of like fighting Predator. Just... You know this, too. And let me tell you something. You don't ever want to fight a white guy in the snow. You'll lose. Or a Mexican at dusk. You can barely...
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. He's white and he can fight. So why did I play that clip? I played that clip, number one, because I love comedy, but I played it because I wanted to talk about Joe Biden's threat to retroactively beat up President Trump. That happened while I was away. I had to take a few days off. Friends came into town. So, yeah, but here, I heard this. I think Liz may have talked about it, but Joe Biden said he would have beaten the crap out of Donald Trump in high school. Really? And so when I heard this, my immediate thought was, but who would have won in junior high, Joe? Huh? I mean, what a childish thing to say. I would have beaten up Donald Trump if I'd been in school with him. I mean, seriously, Joe Biden, don't you have better things to do than to be speculating on what you... And here's Biden. You know, essentially what he's saying is, well, you know what? Donald Trump's making me mad. And so, you know, I'm going to say something that would get people to think about who I am. And by the way, something he could never prove, never do. I mean, you know, come on, I could have beat up, King Kong back in the day. I wish King Kong would have said something to me. I mean, it sounded silly, childish, but then again, you got to remember the source. Know that if Biden could get in the Wayback Machine and beat up Trump in high school, Trump would later on stomp a crap hole in Biden in college. He would have. Yeah. I say this because I know people with the personality of Donald Trump. He's like me. See, loss to me is only temporary because I'm looking to the future. I can honestly tell you, I haven't had a situation where somebody beat me up and I was like, oh, you know, it was like I got a bad beating. Maybe we tied or whatever when I was a kid. But if you had beaten me up, I was going to show up at your doorstep. It wasn't over. And there are people, my friends listen to my program. They know exactly what my personality is. And certainly people who trained with me when I was, coming up through the ranks in the martial arts will tell you that is exactly the case. If you beat me up, in the gym, because we were training, my goal in life was to get you to finally just, okay, we got even. So Trump's got that kind of personality. Loss is temporary. I told you guys, my inspiration was Ronald Reagan, who when he lost to whatever, during whatever race, he didn't give a concession speech as a loser. He gave I lost temporarily, but I will see you in the future as a winner. And I said, I relate to that. That's what spoke to me. By the way, that could speak to a lot of kids. I hope what I say does, because a lot of people, Kevin, you always talk about fighting on. Well, that's my experience. You don't like it? Go. There's a lot of stations. Anyway, Trump would have gotten accepted to the same college. If Biden had beaten him up in high school, he would have said, to heck with Wharton. Where's Joe Biden going to school? University of Stupid? I'll check into the University of Stupid. I will pay $100,000 just to kick Biden's butt. When they kick him out, that's what he would say. Mr. Trump, why'd you just give such a beat down? Didn't look like Biden did anything to you. Oh, yeah. In high school, he beat me up. So I came to your silly school, the University of Stupid, just so I could get even. And it was okay. It was worth the money. It was worth that education to get even. That's Trump. But the real question might be, why has Biden popped off at the mouth with something that he can't possibly do? He can't go back in the Wayback Machine and beat up Donald Trump. Now I say Biden will do anything to believe that he matters. But sadly, with all of the accomplishments of Joe Biden, go with me here, hang in there with me, folks, he doesn't matter. I'm just telling you. Okay, let's take a little test. Joe Biden wants to come and spend time with you, or Kevin Jackson wants to spend time with you. I'm a nobody. Freely admit it. Kevin Jackson's not worth, why would you do it? Between me and Joe Biden, in the audience, you can go to kjradio.com or you can call me at 844-551-8255, as many of you do. I'm going to give it again, 844-551-8255. Would you rather hang out with Joe Biden or Kevin Jackson? Would you rather have knowledge imparted upon you by Joe Biden or Kevin Jackson? And I'm a nobody. And I'm going to make a prediction The majority of you listening to this show, except occasional liberals, leftists that linger out there, the majority of you are going to pick me. And I'm a nobody. I know I don't matter, but Biden has ascended the mountain. He's been number 2, serving as vice president, yet he remains a footnote in history, and oh, by the way, a bad footnote at that. Remember, folks, Joe Biden's fortunes are tied to the worst president in history, and rightfully so. Because here's the not so surprise, Joe Biden is the worst vice president in history, who's serving the worst president in history. And the only thing that's propping both Biden and his former boss, baby black Jesus up, Barack Obama, is the fact that he's half black and he's a Democrat. And I just gave you a hint there as to why Joe Biden called out Trump, but I'll get back to that. But I want to go back to the fight. So I want you to try to imagine a Joe Biden pre-fight ritual for Trump in high school. How long would the speech be before the fight? After 20 minutes of watching Biden dance around and, move the feet like he's Sugar Ray Leonard and, punch around and whatever, people would start to walk off. How many stories would Joe Biden tell about his exploits of beating people up in grade school before he finally decides, okay, it's time to fight this guy I've been calling out for some time? And here's the deal. If you really stop and think about what Biden did, I don't think he thought this through. See, Donald Trump is a New York City rich kid, but his father was what I call a blue collar multimillionaire. He wasn't one of these silver spoon kids where he says, hey, Donald Jr., you're going to go meet with son, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't one of those guys. He was like, yo, Junior, we're going to go over here, get on your work clothes. This is what's going to happen. And I suspect that Donald Trump Sr., I suspect, I don't know if he's a senior, whatever his daddy's name was. He's the type of guy that would say, Donald, you're going to run into, life's going to be tough. You're going to have to be tough, my friend, my son. And the only way that's going to happen is you got to have training. So he would fly in some kung fu master from China every week. Not that Trump would need that if he did fight Biden, for goodness sakes. I mean, Biden's a chump. But you can bet, and I don't know anything about Donald Trump in this respect, but I'm going to bet you money that Donald Trump was trained in the martial arts. I'll give you an example. One of my buddies, he's like a godfather to me, Tommy Mormon, wrote about the Mormon family in my first book. I changed the name. But Tommy was my godfather, and his mother, Betty, said to me, well, Kevin, Tommy took karate because he was such a little boy, and we were afraid that, somebody would bother him. He was so little. And Tommy, they paid a martial artist to train Tommy when he was young because they were afraid, he wasn't going to be a big guy. His brother Jeff was big. Now, I don't think Tommy ever had to use it, but he was prepared to use it. I bet you money that Trump was one of those kids that they did that. Yeah. Don't fool yourself. Like I said, he's white and he can fight. Donald Trump is feisty. I want you to think about how Trump's persona is. He's a very confident guy. I'm telling you right now, I don't know one single thing about Trump in terms of his training for fighting or whatever. If he's smart, maybe he didn't spend a minute training to fight. Maybe he just had bodyguards. Maybe he carried a gun. I don't know what he did. But Trump is very confident about his abilities. And maybe it's because he says, I don't have time for such frivolity, that he made all of his money. But I'm going to tell you, he has the confidence of a guy who's been trained at home. Because there are guys, you go train at the dojo in your city and people can watch you. They can see, are you any good? If I go train at a dojo right now, it'd be like, oh, Kevin, he's all right. People, he's all right. He ain't as big martial arts he says he is, whatever. Okay, whatever. Because I train at home.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hey, Vincent LaGuardia here, Beanie.
His name's JT.
JT. I believe you and Lisa played a game of pool for $200, which she won. I'm here to collect.
How about if I just kick your...
Oh, a counter offer. That's what we lawyers, I'm a lawyer, we lawyers call that a counter offer. Let me see. This is a tough decision you give me here. Get my kicked to collect $200. What do you think? I could use a good kick, and I'll be very honest with you. Nah, I think I'll just go with the 200.
Over my dead body.
You like to renegotiate as you go along, huh? Okay, then here's my counter offer. Do I have to kill you? What if I was just to kick the ever-loving out of you?
In your dreams.
Oh, no. In reality. If I was to kick the out of you, do I get the money?
If you kick the out of me,
yeah,
then you get the money.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It was a scene from My Cousin Vinny, and we are talking about Joe Biden having called out the president of the United States, saying if he could go back into the past, in the Wayback Machine, with his flux capacitor, that he would beat the flux out of Donald Trump in high school. I was thinking, why not just go back to grade school, Joe? 3rd grade. That Donald Trump better not come out to the playground. I'm going to beat him up. And somebody going, doing a documentary. That was Joe Biden. He would later become the vice president of the United States. Oh, man. Joe Biden talking tough about something you can't back up, you can't prove. I would love, does anybody know anything about Joe Biden in his past? Joe Biden, let me tell you, he's the guy that he talks crap. He talks total crap. He's not a threat. He's that guy that talks smack, hey, man, don't you be talking like that to the girl. I'll beat your butt. And the guy's like, man, we're just having a discussion here. It's not like like I said, dude, you don't want to mess with me. I'm Joe Biden. Okay, whatever. Ow, that hurt. Joe's waking up, what happened? You got your butt kicked, Joe Biden. Oh, dude. Then he gives you all these excuses. I wasn't looking, man. All I did was turn my head for just a second and he sucker punched me. No, Joe, you were looking dead at him. Joe Biden is every movie where the dude that, tries to act like he's the bad guy gets his butt kicked. He's that guy. He wants to come off as a good guy. Like he's the Karate Kid guy, the blonde dude. The Cobra guy. He's Cobra Kai, exactly. Oh, man. What a threat, Joe Biden. I mean, look, I'm getting older, too, but if Joe Biden called me out, it would be like that movie with Stallone and De Niro. These two boxers that never got a chance to meet because one thought the other was ducking him. So at the age of 70, they decide to fight it out. Yeah. There's a part of me that wants to see Trump just whoop the crap out of Biden. I mean, I know some of the audience are going, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Donald Trump just grab him by those plugs and boom, hit his head into the turnbuckle like they do on WWE. Oh, man. And here's what I've been saying. Donald Trump, I don't know anything about Donald Trump, but rich kids like Trump, blue-collar rich kids, their parents usually get them some sort of training. I'm not kidding you. Most of my wealthy friends, their kids get specialized training. They're not trying to, enter the UFC. They're not trying to, make it. They don't want any trouble, but they want their kids, particularly their sons, to be able to handle themselves. Many of them do. And they bring in the best people. Now, I want you to think about one-on-one training with a very skilled martial artist. I've done private lessons. I mean, I've given them to people. That is the best instruction you can get. There's no distractions on other kids, other adults, whatever you're doing. It's one-on-one. And I mean, I've done, big groups where it's like 30 students, and you get what you get. Then you get down to like 4 or 5 that are specialists. They want to do tournament fighting or they want to do self-defense or whatever. Then you get down to that one-on-one. That's the best training ever. When I've been in that environment, when I was training one-on-one, it's been very rare because I certainly couldn't afford it. But when people would say to me, Kevin, hey, why don't you come over? I like your skill set. Let's come over and let's work out. And they would impart something on you. Man, that's the stuff I remember to this day. Those are those moments like, in martial arts where you're like the World Trade Center or Martin Luther King got shot. You have those kind of moments in the martial arts where you go, boy, I had a catharsis. This guy taught me so much. It's true. But I believe Trump probably had some training. He doesn't talk about it. Maybe he has none. Because I'm going to tell you, what a waste of time. What a monumental waste of time to have to, to be prepared for somebody out there, this specter of, meanness that's waiting in the world. I tell my sons all the time, I hate the amount of time that you have to spend in the martial arts and training because it's a waste of time. You shouldn't have to worry about that. We should live in a world where that's not an issue. But Biden threatens the president. If Biden were to run in 2020, I'd like to see President Trump set up an octagon outside of the debate thing, like where they have a debate. He would say, Joe Biden, you threatened me back in 2018, and I took the liberty of setting up an octagon in the parking lot, and you and I are going to go at it, buddy. You're going to have to back it up. Let's just pretend it's high school, Joe, okay? The look in Biden's eyes would be precious. You could bet he'd say something like this. He'd say, see, Donald Trump, he's a hothead. Look at how I provoked him to fight. And he took the bait. Ha, 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 ha. He tried to laugh it off and pretend like he didn't say, I didn't really mean it. And Trump would say, see, look at how the politicians are talk. But when it comes to actions, they bail. They always bail. Yeah, they're chickens. They don't want to do it. That's what Trump would do. He'd turn it back on him. He would turn it back on him. I know he would. I'm telling you how he would. But here's the bigger picture in all of this. Now, I'm not following this story because I find it childish and trivial. The same way, and I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy threaten me on Twitter. I'm going to come to your town, man, and kick your butt. And I said, hey, I tell you what, you come to my town. I promise you, I will treat you like a king. I will send a car to the airport to pick you up. We will go to the police station and we will register. You'll sign a waiver in front of the police that says you're here to kick my butt. And then we could either do it in the police parking lot or we could go to a, sanctioned place where I train, and you'll have the opportunity. So he says, he literally writes this back to me. That would be my birthday present. And I go, well, then come get your present, princess. Come get your present. So he tells me this is last week. You guys think I'm joking? I'm not joking. I swear this is true. It's on my Twitter feed. Well, it's actually DM, but I can make it available to you if you want it. So I say to him, just understand you're going to sign the waiver. I'm going to film it. And when I beat you up, I'm going to put it out on the internet. And that's what the waiver is going to say, is that you've given me permission to do whatever I want with this video footage. So he says, I'm there. Great. All you got to do is give me details. I'll send a car to pick you up. I'm telling you, my entire staff was like, hey, this will be great. We're ready to go. We're waiting to film this kind of stuff. So they said, we'll send the car. We'll take care of the car. Contacted him back on Twitter. But you let us know. Get us details, flight information, etc. Here's our details. And so what happened? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Big talk. I swear, if you saw this thread, all the things he's going to do to me, it's going to be his birthday present. I'm like, oh, woo, I'm so scared. Well, you know what? Bring it. That's what Biden is. One of these all talk dudes. Because let me tell you something. There are people out there like me who will accept your challenge. Who do you think you are, dealing with a grown man telling him, oh, if I could go back to high school, I'd kick your butt. I tell you what, Joe Biden, how about now? I know Trump's not going to go for that, but if it were me, I'm just telling you, if I were president, I'd say, Joe, we don't have to go back to high school. We can do it right now. But here's what I want to ask you. Has the media criticized Biden, a warmonger? Imagine if Trump had said anything similar. The fake news media would be hammering him. They'd call him a monster. He's always looking for a fight. Then they'd pivot to North Korea. And they'd say, Kim Jong-un would have preferred to deal with Hillary Clinton because she's the only adult in the room. So let me answer the question for you as to why Biden called out Trump. It's because Trump is already brutally beating up Obama, and Obama needs an old washed-up historical footnote to come to his aid. See, Trump daily brutalizes Barack Obama as the world watches. He crushes his legacy, the legacy of Obama-Biden, and Biden can't do anything about that future, so he pretends he wants to go back and tangle with Trump in the past. But the truth is, folks, past, present, or future, Biden would get his butt kicked.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Did the world end while I was gone? Wow. Feel like it did. Had to go give a couple of speeches, and I have more. Got a lot of stuff going on. And the world wants to know what I have to say suddenly. Speaking of which, Bannon's back. Have you guys seen this? Bannon, Steve Bannon of Breitbart, formerly of Breitbart, he's back in the news. You know where he is? He's where all disgraced people end up. Fake news network CNN. And he's giving his opinion on things. And I'll be honest with you, Steve Bannon and I just don't see the world the same way. I said this about him when I met him. I know Bannon's not that big in the news, but I just want you to know that when you leave the FBI as a disgraced agent, you go to CNN. If you leave the conservative view of side of things, you go to CNN. And I don't blame Bannon. Where else is he going to make a living? Fox isn't going to hire him. So he's over at CNN spouting off about if this person leaves Donald Trump's cabinet, then it's going to be Armageddon, Armageddon, Armageddon. He's got a new word in his vocabulary, Armageddon. Yeah. Anyway, Bannon's back in the news. Bolton got hired. Now they're saying, ooh, there's a hardliner now, you know, because he added Pompeo. He was a hardliner. I've met Ambassador Bolton multiple times. Depending on who you talk to in government, oh, he's this, he's that, he's bad. I had one guy tell me, if he were to ever hire Bolton, it would be the end of Donald Trump. Look, I've seen Bolton at speeches when we're at the same event. I don't know much about him. I've always felt like he knew what was going on. He had his finger on the pulse better than most. But I like Gorka too. So, you know, look, we're going to be up in the air about a lot of these types of decisions, and rightfully so. It isn't our decision to make. So we have to rely that Trump knows what he's doing. And that brings me to Omnibus, because I want to discuss Omnibus. That happened, obviously, while I was out. It's going to be discussed for quite some time. And I personally believe it was a mistake for Donald Trump to sign Omnibus. I don't know what his calculations were, but I do believe this. I believe him when he says this is the only one of these bills that I'll sign. I believe him when he says I'm going to structure things in such a way that I will line item veto. I don't know whether he'll get line item veto per se, but there's got to be a way for us to undo this thing, because let me tell you something. The fault of this whole thing lies with Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan should have never let a bill like this go through. And let me tell you what you're thinking. You're saying, Holy crap, Paul Ryan. Why do we give you guys control, and this is what you do? I hear people say they wouldn't do this unless the Democrats got this. In a time when we are crushing the Democrats, they wouldn't do this unless we let this occur. Says who? Since when? Since when do winners think like the losers that are these leftists? And I'm sure I speak for many of you who say, why do we bother to win and feel good when we're only going to get the air let out of our sails by idiots like Paul Ryan? Who does this? Who was it? Rand Paul has been running out of, just listing a litany of things that were included in this omnibus bill. Let me tell you what it is. It is an insult to the Republicans. It's an insult to President Trump. And the biggest thing, it is an insult to America. It's an insult to the taxpayers. They lace this thing with the biggest amount of nonsense I've ever seen in my life. And I'm telling you, if Donald Trump wants to go year 2 and have the year that he had before, he's going to have to address this. This had the potential of being a fatal wound to the Republicans in 2018. And I'm beginning to, well, I'm not beginning, I believe this, and I bet many of you do, that this is a setup. They wanted Trump to sign the biggest, nastiest bill ever so he'd have to back off of all these other things. And look, I haven't read it. I'll be honest with you. I haven't read it. I haven't looked at any news, because sometimes you got to just step away from this stuff. But if what I've heard is true, that it does not provide border protections and all it is a big fat increase in the military, well, you know what? I don't really care. I think the military, if I were a member of the military, I would be tired of being used as a pawn. I would say, Mr. President, defund us. We'll figure things out. We've got family and friends. We'll figure things out until you get exactly what you need to run this country the right way. Look, I'm upset that this budget goes through, but it's not the end of the day. It's certainly not like losing to Hillary Clinton. That would have been a tragedy. But it's close, because we fought so that Trump wouldn't have to deal with this type of stuff. And he does. And his job, in my opinion, was to say, nope, send it back. But I'm going to defer. And here's why. I'm going to defer because we had the best year 1 we've had in a long time. And if we can carry that over to a year 2 and have the best year 2, it's going to be extremely difficult for the rhinos and the leftists to fight Donald Trump going forward in the next 2 years and the next 6 years, 4 years after that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll look at some of the legislation that's put in the omnibus, and we'll start going, coming up with memes and things of that nature to attack it. And I mean, that's what my team is talking about doing. And maybe we attack this thing and put this back on the shoulders of the Republicans. Because I'm telling you, the minute this thing passed, my phone was blowing up. My email thread was huge on, Kevin, what do you think? What do you think? And what do I think? I think Donald Trump is, I'm glad I watched the press conference, because when I first heard about it, I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I thought maybe he had softened, and said, because when he threatened to veto, I thought, okay, maybe we're good to go here. And then I was on a plane and they said, no, he signed it. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Not happy. Kevin Jackson, not happy. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We've already had a really good discussion around book burnings and Joe Biden's threat to the president. So can't wait to get back. We'll be back in just a second.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We had some big news that's happened over the past few days while I was out. And this story, I know and I'm going to make sense of it, but, it has to do with armed teachers. It has to do with guns. I'm still seeing this kid hog all over the place trying to pretend that he has a dog in the fight with gun control, because I call them gun control freaks and nuts, as you guys know. He's got a dog in the fight. He's out there still talking smack about how he wants kids protected. Well, a school district finally did something. This one's in Pennsylvania, and they indeed have armed their teachers. Got sanity. I saw the story and went, you've got to be kidding me. They're going to give these teachers arms? They're going to let them actually protect their students? What in the world is going on? When did the world flip back to it's insane? From insanity to sanity. And then I read further. Yeah, this is from the Chicago Tribune. A rural school district. Yeah, of course, it wouldn't be an urban school district that would dare arm its teachers. A rural school district in Pennsylvania is arming teachers and students with buckets of rocks. Yeah, buckets of rocks. They say it's a last resort should an armed intruder burst in, the superintendent announced on Friday. Did he not proudly announce this? And where will they get the rocks? Who is the vendor who's going to supply the rocks? What leftist is going to do this? Hey, you know what, rural school district of Pennsylvania, country folks of Pennsylvania, I'm proud of you. But then again, I'm kind of embarrassed for you. Really? Country folks, you got people throwing rocks? What are we going to do? We're going to have rock throwing contest? Rock skipping contest? What next? God, this is the solution. And here's, there are going to be people going, well, it certainly beats guns. I can see the gun control nuts going, well, at least that's a sane solution to this. Just so we're clear, rocks don't travel as fast as bullets. If an armed intruder comes into your school and you reach into your bucket to throw a rock at him, let me tell you what you've done. You will have made yourself a target. The minute your arm reaches into the bucket of rocks and you raise it up, the programmed vision of a person who's assailing you is going to go do, 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 like a Terminator and go there, shoot there, and you are deader than disco. This is what? Are all the students going to simultaneously do it? Are they going to have rock throwing drills? What are you going to do that's going to thwart someone with a gun who's come into your school? And as they say, with all these magazines and clips and everything else that they're going to have loaded with, the 22 shots of 50 shot magazines, the 200 shot magazine, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to, you're going to be throwing rocks, right? With their fully automatic. I'm just giving you what the left will say about this, because they got all these fully automatic, semi-automatic rifles with the big clips and blah, 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 full of bullets, and you're going to be throwing rocks. Man. And sadly, there are people that are going to pretend that this would work. Yeah. Why don't you get everybody bull whips? You can have a bull whipping class. Take that, you crazy killer. It's going to come in here and kill the students. Jeez. How many kids are going to die while somebody's trying to find a rock bucket? Where did we put the rock bucket? I don't know. I mean, this is wrought with humor, but it's a serious subject. And okay, what did we just have recently? We had a school resource officer who shot and killed a gunman who actually shot a girl and shot a couple of people, but intentionally, I guess, went after a girl. We had a school resource officer, a trained marksman, who kills this kid, and proving that this works. Having an armed officer in there works. Oh, by the way, they looked at all of the information leading up to the shooting. I forget the name of the school. We talked about it before I went on my little mini vacation. But they looked at all the things leading up to this, and they said, look, this kid is a danger. Let's make sure we're looking out. Sure enough, this kid comes in, tries to shoot this girl, shoots the girl and another boy and a couple of other folks, and he gets taken out. And then we get schools that want to throw rocks. I in no way want to make light of this, but I am going to make fun of it in the sense that we put our kids, our grandkids, in some instances, great-grandkids, etc., into these schools with the knowledge that they're safe. And some administrator or superintendent says, we'll make them safe. We're going to get your kids some rocks. You don't have to get my kids some rocks. They're out there, ready to be thrown. And here's what the school will do. Here's how liberals will do it. The minute that somebody gets hurt from rocks, because somebody's bound to get hurt, then they're going to limit the size. You can only have rocks of a certain dimension to throw at the bad guys. The rock can be no bigger than a bullet. You may be chuckling right now. That's how leftism works. They slowly just start to get you. You think you're protecting yourself. Suddenly you've got the best rocks in the world. You've got rocks that fit right around your fist like a the seams on a baseball, and perfectly weighted, etc. And somebody goes, we have the best rocks you could possibly throw in a school battle against a gunman. If you want a shot, get our rocks. So some capitalist is going to make a rock that says, that you can throw with the aerodynamics of an arrow or something. And then as soon as he does it, somebody's going to say, those rocks are too dangerous. You can't be throwing those kind of rocks. You could hurt somebody. And then they're going to outlaw that rock. And I promise you, then they're going to come back and go, here are the rocks that you are authorized to throw, made by leftist America. And you can only get these rocks through a sanction deal, be a licensed rock dealer and a licensed rock acquirer, and you must register those rocks and pay taxes on them, and then you can throw them at a gunman. I know how things work. So, and I'm going to come. I want to talk about this subject in a bit, but there was a gunman who took hostages in France, and I'm just wondering if the French had enough rocks. If they'd only had rocks, then maybe they wouldn't have been taken advantage of over there. You think that a lot of people are going to be saying at some point in their lives, Man, that guy robbed me. If I'd only had a brick, to hit him upside his head, or a rock. Oh, that brick would have been outlawed because it's too big. The rock must fit comfortably in one's pocket, or, it has to have a certain weight, or the police will say, yeah, we arrested him because his rock was 2 grams over the limit. Or maybe you had too many rocks and they thought you were going to distribute them. Maybe you were going to be a rock dealer, crackhead. Because you'd have to be a crackhead to believe this would work. Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to. We'll be back in a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's Kevin Jackson Show. Pennsylvania school is going to arm their teachers and students with rocks. Talked about it in the last segment. I wanted to touch on it a little bit more before we get into this next story about the hostage situation in France. And by the way, we got tons to talk about. The Iranian hackers. I want to do a little bit of listener stuff, so you guys know that. We'll talk a little bit about the economy and some other things. We've touched on quite a bit today already. But this rural school district in Pennsylvania that wants to give buckets of rocks to students and teachers, they say, as a last resort, should an armed intruder burst in. I just find such a fascinating story. And as I said, I talked about it earlier, but I want to read you a statement of what the principal said. We always strive to find new ways to keep our children safe. Yeah. In order to thrive and to find new ways to keep their children safe, or try to find new ways to keep their children safe, we're going back to the caveman era. See, I thought that we evolved from rock throwing. Well, what next? They're going to let kids have spears? I can see this principal a couple years down the road going, we tried the rock thing and it didn't work as well as we thought. So now we are allowing every kid and teacher to make a spear as a deterrent. And then 2 years later, well, we tried the spear and it didn't work as well as we thought. What could you possibly be thinking? And here's what I love this part of the article. It's almost like they're trying to sell it. This was from the Chicago Tribune. They're like, well, throwing rocks is more effective than just crawling under desk and waiting. And it gives students and teachers a chance to defend themselves. That's what the principal said. It's better than crawling under the desk and being a chump, letting them do whatever they want. Wow. This is the world we've left. We're leaving the kids. When I was talking to some folks, I was talking about 500 people the other night, and I told them, if you want to know where this comes from, it comes from you letting it occur. That's where this comes from. There should be parents at this, with the next PTO meeting in Pennsylvania at this rural school district going, have you lost your freaking mind? Will you just get armed teachers here, or an armed school resource officer, or whatever? Volunteer armed veterans who are certified to, with a certain level of marksmanship, etc., and have gone through psychological testing. There's a lot of things you can do besides giving out a bucket of rocks. That's just crazy. BB guns at the very least. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I want what's gonna be equal and opposite, so to speak. If you, as the old saying goes, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. That's essential. Don't bring a rock to a gunfight. I'd rather have a knife at a gunfight than a rock. Oh, Kevin, you don't know what kind of rock. I know. I already joked about the types of rocks. But seriously, we're losing our sanity in this country. I don't know, they say it's a 2,700 student district that this guy is speaking in. He's a rural guy, so, it's not like he's one of these city slickers that doesn't understand where his meat comes from. But that's your solution, and there's not a parent in that district going, look, David, I think his name is David Heisel or something like that, Helsel. David, look, that's a stupid idea. You know where they arm the people within the school? Okay, so let me just put it to you this way. There's a country that has had 3 school attacks since the 1970s. A total of 3. And in each of those instances, they put down the gunman instantaneously without anybody being killed. You want to guess where it is? I'll tell you. It's Israel. They don't play. Armed to the teeth. So you go into an Israeli school and you want to be a gunman, you're going to get shot and killed. You will be dropped. Simple. Nobody messing with the schools. And look, I'm not going to take you back in the throwback machine again to my life, but we had guns all over the place in our school. Nobody dare would attack us. You'd be crazy to come in our school and attack. You would have been crazy. You would have killed you within minutes. Somebody, I distinctly remember one of my, I think it was my, he was a science teacher, and I distinctly remember him actually having a firearm on him one day when he walked into the school, because he wasn't a school resource officer or whatever. I think he just left it on. And it was, I distinctly remember it. I don't remember the details, but I distinctly remember that. And none of us, we didn't panic or freak out. It was just like, oh wow, he brought his pistol in, and I didn't think he was going to kill us. Anyway, here's what I want to talk about though. I want to talk about this incident that happened in France. And I want to let you hear the clip because you'll glean some things out of this that I find interesting. So here's the clip.
A French policeman hailed as a hero for his role in ending a deadly hostage standoff has died. The Interior Minister tweeted this just a short time ago. Lieutenant Colonel Arnaud Beltrame had persuaded a gunman to let him take the place of one of the hostages inside a supermarket in Trèbes, where the incident was underway. He was wounded while entering the store. The gunman was killed by police when they stormed the building. This came after a 4-hour standoff. 3 others were also killed on Friday by the gunman during the attack. Our Melissa Bell joins us now on the line from Trèbes in France. Melissa, run us through the story again of how the lieutenant colonel had emerged as a hero.
It's an extraordinary story of heroism, Cyril. It began, of course, with the events of yesterday morning when the assailant, who's now been identified as Redouane Lactim, went to a carjacking on the inside Carcassonne, first of all, just after 10 a.m., taking the car, using it then to attack a group of 4 police officers who'd been on a jog, injuring one of them by firing on him, shooting him in the shoulder, before then heading off to the town of Trèbes, in the outskirts of Carcassonne, where this standoff with the police began. The assailant was holed up inside a local supermarket with hostages, although many of the people had managed to escape with the early sound of gunfire. And during that standoff, which lasted, as you say, some time, it was the extraordinary heroism of this man, Arnaud Beltrame, that not only allowed lives to be saved, the lives of the hostages in question, but also the standoff to be brought to an end, since when he went in to be exchanged with the female hostages that were being held, once he volunteered to do it, he'd left his phone on so that the officers outside, the special forces who gathered in this standoff, prepared to move in to take out this assailant, were able to hear what was going on. At the first sound of gunfire, they went in. Sadly, too late for Arnaud Beltrame, who died during the night.
All right, everybody, welcome back. So here's what's interesting about this story to me. This story has lost all its real meaning. And now it's all about the heroism of this police officer who would dare exchange himself for the hostages that were there, and he died in that exchange. And they're giving you the accounts of all of the things, he left his phone on so special forces could come in and all this. Forget the tragedy. I'm just, think about it. 3 people died. He died and 3 other people were killed. They stormed the place. They killed, this guy gets killed or whatever, the hostage taker. And the story is about the heroism. It isn't about the people's lives who are changed forever, who died. Except the hero, of course. It's not about those other 3 people who died or the hostages who, are now traumatized from going to shop. That's all they were doing. They were shopping when this occurred. And what do you know about the hostage taker? Did you catch it? They give you his name, like Omar Khatib. I mean, it was, and they didn't even. I'm just telling you, if you weren't paying attention, you don't even know who this person is. This person, I didn't do a lot of research on this story. The only reason why I'm even interested in it is because it's France and I used to live over there. But here's what I'll tell you. Guarantee you this guy's a Muslim. They've completely soft-shoed the idea that some Muslim went into a supermarket, took a bunch of hostages in a long-term standoff, ultimately getting Lieutenant Colonel killed and 3 other people, and they focus on the heroism of the act. See, they're not fooling me. And I don't think they're fooling you either. They want us to forget what precipitated all of this, and now we're supposed to look for the good news in this attack where 4 people were killed because of some nutcase. Probably, who knows, right? We can only speculate at this point. But I'm just saying, I don't think this guy went in there because he was disgruntled about the price of beef. I don't think he went there because he's a former employee and he says, you guys did not treat me well when I worked here or whatever. He went there because he's a troublemaker and he's one of these refugees that's killed a bunch of people.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened. We have a basic responsibility to protect people's data, and if we can't do that, then we don't deserve to have the opportunity to serve people. So our responsibility now is to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And there are a few basic things that I think we need to do to ensure that. One is making sure that developers like Alexander Kogan, who got access to a lot of information and then improperly used it, just don't get access to as much information going forward. So we are doing a set of things to restrict the amount of access that developers can get going forward. But the other is we need to make sure that there aren't any other Cambridge Analyticas out there, right, or folks who have improperly accessed data. So we're going to go now and investigate every app that has access to a large amount of information from before we lock down our platform. And if we detect any suspicious activity, we're going to do a full forensic audit and make sure that no one out there is improperly using data. And that's, I think, the responsibility that we have to people in our community.
All right, everybody, welcome back. That was Mark Zuckerberg explaining the data hack, and access to data, and you can't have this anymore, et cetera, et cetera. It's the Kevin Jackson. So glad you guys are here. You buying what this clown is saying? I don't buy it. This is the very same guy who, and I don't have the clip, but he said something along the lines of, these stupid effing people give me their data. They give me access to their lives. They have no idea what I can do with it. And for the record, Cambridge Analytica is not the bad guy here. I love how he said that. We're not sure how many more make sure there are no more Cambridge Analyticas out there. In other words, make sure there's no more people out there who are in the business of trying to gather data so they can do what they want with it. The only people that should have the data this is what Zuckerberg's telling you. The only people who should have the data are people like him. He's in control of the data. That's the danger, is if anybody else gets the data. Glad you guys are here. It's Kevin Jackson Show, where I give you the data. See, this is not about me keeping all the secrets to myself. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom. That data that you collect, in other words, when I get my friends and my friends get their friends, etc., and they like my message, that's my data. That's not Facebook's data. I should have access to my data. What Zuckerberg wants you to understand is that it isn't your data, Kevin Jackson. So what? You built an audience on Facebook. So what? They care about what you do or say. And so what? Those people have reached into other people and they like certain elements of what you say. You have no right to get to your data. It's all my data. Mark Zuckerberg is Big Brother, presiding over a massive amount of information about you. I've argued that Mark Zuckerberg likely knows more about you, more about your kids, your relatives, than you do. And I'm not even being funny when I say that. He knows what baseball game they're about to go to. He knows who won the championship. He knows who's going to do a play, who's going to visit so-and-so. The amount of information exchanged, if we just pulled out your family and Zuckerberg said, Kevin, tell me about yourself. Zuckerberg knows more, I promise you, about my family than I do, exponentially so. Think of this. You've got Ancestry.com. What if this guy goes out next and he buys Ancestry.com, and not only does he know what I'm doing with my immediate family, but he could map Ancestry.com and say, here's even more family you don't know that you have. And he maps that out and looks at all the different algorithms, writes an algorithm that says analyze people's families, and then make sure that they know to keep each person in the know. Can you imagine? I'm just giving you an example of the power within the data structure of Facebook. 1.5 billion people on that site. If he could get everybody to come over, give you access to your ancestry, you take the DNA, you then know everybody that you want to talk about finding long lost friends. You will find out who was a sperm donor in college. You will find out relatives you didn't have. You're going to find out daddies that aren't your daddies. Well, not mothers that aren't your mothers. That's pretty tough right there. But you're going to find daddies that weren't your daddies. You're going to find out that you have 2 or 3 other brothers or sisters that nobody wanted to talk about in the family. Can you imagine what he could do with that data? I'm just giving you one example. This is why when I talk about Zuckerberg, I tell you, this is a kid who's playing with a nuclear football, and he's out with like a frat boy saying, hey, who's up for a game with some flag? Because it's fraught with so many possibilities. And by the way, many of these are amazingly good possibilities. They're amazingly good. Extending the ancestry thing. Can you? I did my ancestry, and I'm still working through different things with different folks. So just the other day, I had a girl call me. She sent me a note on ancestry. Kevin, we're cousins. I don't know how because I don't know my dad. She says my stepdad raised me, and this is all. This is what I know so far. And she gave me the name of what she believes is her father. And we looked at our ancestry, and I said, you know what, I'll try to figure it out, but I don't know how to figure it out just yet. But that question came to me. So we know we're cousins, and that's all we know at this point. And we're sort of going backwards. Imagine a Facebook that could say, yeah, you're cousins, and you were talking about who's your dad. You have the name. I've mapped all the names of men of this age that could theoretically be your dad. Based on this geography, here's a good place to start. Facebook could make that happen so fast, it's ridiculous. And that would be a good thing, because my cousin would be able to figure it out. Because I'm telling you, we are looking through our genealogy, our tree, going, geez, I'm not really sure, because we just don't quite have enough information. I've told you, there are businesses out there, and home advisors and Angie's List that could be done. Those business models gone. If Facebook, let's say for some, I don't know if they would ever do it, but let's say that they went and bought Amazon, and everything you were looking for, they had it readily available and knew the market. Here's a good one. Here's a perfect one. So let's say you wanted to build a marketplace, and I think they have this, by the way, and it's a local marketplace. So you're looking for a particular chair, and somebody wants to sell it, whether it's a store or an individual, and you say you can get it new or used, and I'm going to map you to somebody right in your area to do it. Not only could I map you to that, I could say to you, if you don't own a truck, by the way, I'd probably know that you don't own a truck. I could tell you, hey, little Lopez's truck service will help you move it, or some mover will do it, or you have a buddy with a truck who can help you, and I know he's in town because he just returned from vacation. That's the kind of stuff that can be done right now with Facebook, and Zuckerberg wants to be the keeper of the data. And you wonder why, now I'm one of these guys. I'm a futurist and a risk management guy. And that's why I started teapartycommunity.org, and I'm encouraging you guys to go. I'll be blunt. I'm very upset that more people understanding what's happening at Facebook haven't just gone over and embraced teapartycommunity.org. I don't know. It amazes me with the conservative movement how we know we need something. It gets done, and then somebody, I don't know, I'll get around to it. I was talking to some folks at an event the other day, and they were like, I said, we're the most complacent group. We wonder how we get lulled into this nonsense with leftists, and we are the most inactive. We're so busy with kids and family, and other family and friends, and trying to enjoy life, that we're losing the lives that we have. We're going to leave junk to our kids, and it isn't going to be because they weren't there. We've been throwing lifelines at each other now for the better part of 2 or 3 decades, and nobody's taking them. Zuckerberg has acted. He isn't acting on behalf of us. He's acting on behalf of his movement. He's amassed 1.5 billion people, including us. And he's saying, okay, now I'm going to start separating people out, and I'm going to start analyzing this data, and I'm going to put my foot on the throat of conservatives. And I bring a lifeline, teapartycommunity.org, and I can't get 1 million people to come over and say, we're game. We're going to be the resistance to these guys. In case you haven't noticed, they are not the resistance. We are. It bugs me because it's too hard a work to do this. And this guy makes it look easy.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
A listener sent this to me a couple of days ago. I heard on your radio program, which I have a hard time to listen because of my schedule. On that show, you requested to hear from like-thinking individuals. I don't recall that because I want to hear from all thinking individuals, but okay, if he took it that way, his name is John. If John took it that way, that's fine. So John says, I am white, born in 1943, poor. My mother and father divorced. Mother was on aid to totally disabled, and my brother and I were on Social Security survivor's insurance. Before I go further on what John's talking about here, my brother and I had an almost identical situation. Mother, single mom, and she lives with my grandparents, takes us in tow. My mother dies, and we end up on Social Security. My brother and I got like $100 a month each for until we turned 18 or something like that. That's what it took. That's the amount of money my grandparents had to raise us, was $100 a month for till we turned 18. So anyway, I can certainly, John and I share that in common. He goes on to say this: in our neighborhood, which was mixed, black, white, and Hispanic and Oriental. I like the way he put that, because that's what they used to call Asians back in the day, was Orientals. He says, yet we were all family. None of us could do anything wrong while walking home from school without our family at home and we knowing before we got home. Nobody in the neighborhood went without, because the churches, Salvation Army, neighbors would be there to help. He says, I have so much to say and only a few people who would listen. Most of the younger progressive people do not know history and will not listen because they, quote, know it all. Hope you know you are not alone. There are people who have lived through the progressive horror and know what is happening, but nobody to listen. So, John, I feel your, won't sound like Clinton, but John, I feel your pain. But I do. I feel your pain, because people of your generation have seen this world. They've seen America, pardon me, change so much for the better, in the sense that there was a time where John couldn't play with these young black kids, or even the kids that he played with. He had to go through this period where, of understanding what was going on. It was a racially sensitive time. As he was born in 1943, he came of age in the 1960s. The very kids that he grew up playing with are now the people who are part of the, the fist-raising movement, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and so on and so forth. And the, Hispanics and the Orientals, as he called them. So many of these changes occurred, and John's going, I used to play with these kids, and it was no big deal. And even through that evolution, America still became amazing. I was talking to some folks the other day. We were talking about how kids are so open-minded and have such an understanding. And one of the guys argued with me, because the place I was doing this particular speech was in Franklin County, Missouri. And it is lily white. By the way, one of the most beautiful drives through wine country if you take 94. It's just stunning. These little homesteads. And then you end up in Franklin County, and it's just a cool little spot. And so this guy's telling me, Kevin, these kids, they don't have a lot of diversity here. And I go, okay, big deal. So what? Let me tell you what they do have. There may not be a lot of diversity there, but TV is diverse. Your kids go to colleges. They go hang out with their friends. It isn't like the old days where you had 3 channels of TV, 4 if you could get the UHF one to come in every now and then. You had 1 or 2 radio stations. You had complete, people's time was occupied with work and mostly family. And on the weekends, you might have had a friend or two or a relative come by. It isn't like it is today. Today, you've got the internet. You've got just so many distractions. And your kids are on playing club ball, so they're traveling and seeing other kids and hanging out. So no matter how lily white or lily black or whatever your area is, you understand race and you understand what's going on in the world. These kids today have no issue with interracial dating, interracial marriage, interracial friendships. Remember, and now look, I can tell you in America, many a kid brought home a white kid and a black mom would go, oh, how you doing, Daniel? Or whatever. Many white families brought home a black kid, like, hey, what's going on, Shaquan? The father, hey, Shaquan, how are you? We've always been so ready to embrace these kids. And let me tell you, the only thing that any of these parents have cared about was, are you a good kid, a good influence on my son or my daughter, or are you not? If you are, congratulations. If you're not, move along. It's really that simple. And so John has seen this. It's funny to watch it, because John grew up in this, as he said, ethnically mixed neighborhood where everybody parented and did things together. And he watched the world evolve and become cynical and to where it is. And we find ourselves today where kids are exactly the way John grew up. Yet they still have to deal with all these race-based issues. And I think that's where guys like John and me go, are you kidding? We've come full circle where all these kids play together, hang out together and stuff, and yet the government and the leftists want them to believe that they're racist. How so? I'd be curious. Explain it to me. How are they possibly racist with everything that's going on here? But that's what they're being taught. They're being taught that they lived in the same neighborhoods, families had the same opportunities, dads probably worked at the same mill or whatever, and they're saying by John's birthright of being a white guy, he has a silver spoon in his mouth and the black kids and the Hispanics and the Orientals don't. Nonsense. Anyway, John, I appreciate the note. I'm not frustrated because I know that, don't look at me like that. I'm not frustrated. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm not even trying to figure it out. I know how to do it. My frustration, if there is any, and I'm not admitting to it, is that we aren't solving the problem and we're still in kind of this analysis of it. We don't need to analyze the problem. We know what it is. And I'm trying to offer solutions to fix it. I mean, that's what I get up in the morning doing. And I spend a lot of time at it. I'll tell you that. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about. Iranian hackers, Amazon's new market cap, if you haven't heard that. Seth Rich. Maybe we'll get to the Seth Rich story. A lot of people have been asking me for that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is an interesting story because in a time when cities' budgets are in financial free fall, you get a story like this. And this one's out of Detroit. Welcome, by the way, to the Kevin Jackson Show. 844-551-8255 if you want to get a hold of us. Detroit police officials are trying to curb overtime costs that have exploded in recent years. Although union officials insist if experienced officers keep leaving the department, those who are left will be forced to work extra hours. So the city paid $40 million in overtime pay for Detroit police officers during the 2017-18 fiscal year, 136% increase over the $16.9 million paid in 2012 and 2013, more than 10 million above the 28.3 accrued in last year's fiscal year. There are valid reasons why officers need to work overtime, but we need to better manage it, Detroit Police Chief James Craig said. This simply means we have to justify when we're deploying overtime details. Union officials say the overtime cost will increase if the city doesn't do more to retain police officers. So here's what I want to explain, because we got a movie coming out, Bleeding Blue, coming out September the 7th, and we talk about policing in America. And all these issues that we're talking about with policing in America stem from cities like Detroit, and they stem from issues related to, as you know, my favorite word to hate is leftism. The reason why we're dealing with a lack of cops, the lack of cops who want to be retained, is very simply put in the word leftism. Who would want to be a police officer in today's time? Who? They want to recruit. One of the things is, we got to recruit more black police officers. Good luck with that. When you've put a target on the back of all these police officers, do you think brothers that are now stalking and killing police officers care whether they're white, black? They don't care. Once they put on a uniform, they lose their ethnicity and they just become another target. And that's exactly what the left wanted. And so what have they created? They've created an ecosystem where the police department in Detroit has a 136% increase over a reasonable budget for overtime. And now they're spending multiple millions of dollars. $40 million in overtime. Folks, that is not a rounding error. That is significant money. That's money that could be going towards needed programs. It could be going towards medicines for the elderly, better educational opportunities for schools, trade schools, whatever. There's a lot better way to spend that money than overtime. And that overtime's been created because they have a lack of cops or lack of experienced cops. That's the cycle of leftism. We talk about what leftism costs. If we could quantize leftism's cost with respect to immigration, illegal immigration, with respect to the war on terror and how they've allowed terrorists into our midst, and maybe we'll get to this Iranian hacking scandal here in a bit, or the Awan IT brothers, or I could go on, right? Everything that these people touches your wallet and puts a dent in it, that you pull your wallet out of your pocket and go, okay, who just ripped me off? You're looking around at family members going, who did it? And your kids are going, did what, Dad? You're going, who did this? Look at this dent in my wallet. And your kids are going, we didn't touch it, Dad. I mean, seriously, our college, we're on scholarship. Haven't asked you for money for ages. Okay, well, somebody did this. Well, I can tell you who did it. Your government. That's who's doing it. This article goes on. We have officers who are working 80-hour work weeks, and that's dangerous because they get burned out, said Mark Diaz, president of the Detroit Police Officers Association. Diaz says he's losing about 18 officers per month. Let me tell you what officers are doing. They're getting in their 20, getting their pensions. Think about it this way. You're a 20-year-old guy, 18, 20-year-old guy. You go into the police force. You retire at 40. In the prime of your life, when you really start gaining experience that you can use to help the police, you retire, you get your police pension, and then you start a new career. That's what a lot of cops do. I have a buddy, he's a former Houston cop. He retired around 45, got another job, has his cop pension, has another job now that he's doing, and he's right about to hit, I don't know, I think he's getting close to retirement in that job where he can start drawing money out. He's feasting. He loved the fact that he put his 20 in as a cop. They couldn't drag him back. Now, they could drag him back as a consultant. Now, we have the same problem in engineering. We'd have, the companies started offering packages, and the engineers who were very experienced and, knew the quirks of the business and all that said, we'll take the package. They take the package and retire, and then the company would go, oh, geez, we didn't capture that intellectual property. You want to know what that intellectual property, they call it IP, was? what was inside of that dude's head. They had no process that said, show me what it is that you do on a daily basis so we could track it. So then they started putting in these things in companies called workflow. They wanted to understand how you did things, and that can capture certain things, but it can't capture everything. But at least they got closer. And so we started relying fewer and fewer on these people to come back. One of the biggest issues that I had when I was in management consulting was, how do you keep your intellectual property from walking out the door and then having to pay to bring it back at 3 times the cost you had when it was in there? That's what you have to ask yourself. Anyway, they say the city's been hiring more officers. 23 graduated from the police academy last week, the second graduating class this year, with more new hires on the horizon. Mayor Mike Dugan's 2019 budget, approved last week by the city council, calls for an $8 million increase to the police budget of $321.7 million. Detroit spent 12.7% of its overall police budget on overtime in 2013. Chicago spent 13% of its budget on overtime last year. LA spent 7.6% of its budget on overtime. Now here's the deal. In every one of those municipalities where that overtime budget, and we're talking about millions of dollars, folks, a $322 million police budget in Detroit is a lot of policing. So I want you to just ask yourself, what would they do if Detroit became safer? What would every one of these cities do if their cities became safer? Money back into the taxpayers' funding, things that could be done. I want you to just put a number on that. In every one of these major cities, Chicago, Baltimore, Cleveland, St. Louis, you name it, every one of them has the same issue. They're paying cops overtime. Forget the budget itself is a backbreaker. And I don't know what it is in the total budget scheme, but think about what they could save. What productivity could go back into that city if it were safer? And then you kind of get an idea of where I'm going with all of this.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What is the cost of leftism? Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. If you want to contact us by phone, 844-551-8255. The cost of leftism. So we touched on it just a second ago with the police budget, the overtime budget that's being spent in every major city. Just overtime. So I gave you one number because that's what we had in the last article. It's $322 million that the police department budget in Detroit is alone. One city, $322 million. Now, while I'm happy for the job that police have, the job that we have law enforcement, of that, $40 million of it went to overtime. So $40 million in overtime of a $322 million budget, which means it should have been a $282 million budget to begin with, which is substantial. So let's look at what the crime rate should have been in and of itself, right? Maybe if the police, if crime in Detroit were at the norm, I don't know, pick a city, but let's say that it should be 150 million. And I'm just throwing a number out there, but that might be we're 130 million over that plus the overtime number. So that's the cost, if you will, of liberalism just in a city. And that's in every city. And again, these are made up numbers, except for the fact that Detroit is their new budget is $322 million for the next fiscal year. And last year, $40 million on overtime. Was that overtime spent on conservatives? Was that overtime spent on looking for the Russian collusion or what? So that's what we have right there. What about Baltimore? Baltimore setting aside money for illegals. We talked about this the other day. LA has set aside $10 million just for illegals. So we have LA setting aside money. Other groups are saying we want to match that. This is just for Los Angeles. We're not talking about the state of California. Then, if you want to really get into the state of illegals, how much money are we spending on them? It was said that California has spent $59 million on being a sanctuary city, or sanctuary state, rather. I mean, how many of these things do we look at? What about the waste of money in schools? What about the waste of money? I'll give you an example in hospitals, where we have multiple people that do nothing except translate languages for people who are theoretically sick. This is a service no other country offers. They don't say, we're going to, you come to our country, illegal or otherwise, and we're going to offer a service to translate for every single person that could potentially come into our hospital system. Look, I'm not heartless. We want to work out the details with people, but here's what I'm saying. If I visit a country and I happen to get sick, I would hope that there's some ways of communication that somebody could translate from English to Icelandic so the doctor could work on me. I would have friends that I would believe would speak good English. Chinese people come to America. They don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, what's going on with me? There are plenty of people that speak Mandarin or Cantonese who can translate, but we hire people for this. How much money have we spent changing all of our systems into, like multilingual type systems? How much money have we spent on that? I mean, again, it's ridiculous how much we spend. How much money did Baltimore pay off Freddie Gray? $7 million. How much money in litigation against what I would consider to be just stupid leftism do we spend every single year, actually every single day, in some municipality? What is the real cost of liberalism, leftism? How much money do we put into colleges and universities to promote gender studies, women's studies, LGBT studies? What does it cost us to rework every system? For example, we rework, the training system for companies to worry about LGBT community. We rework the training system for the military when we got rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And across the board, how much money do we spend rewriting textbooks in order to put in the liberal agenda across the board? Now we got to teach about 15 different kinds of religions, particularly Muslim religions or Islam. Then we've got to teach about LGBT stuff. We got to teach about bullying. We got to teach about all the things that, quite frankly, you would learn about in life naturally, because that's not the job of the school system to teach you these things. And I could go on. What is the cost of liberalism in terms of jobs? Where they tell people you must have a minimum wage because you're too stupid to have worked a career that you enjoy and been in that career for long enough to actually become an expert in it. What's the cost of that? How much does that cost companies to implement diversity programs and black this and women's this and whatever in their companies that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what that company produces? And ultimately, what does it cost us? Cost America. It costs us jobs. I mean, I could go on. I'm here all day, people. The cost of liberalism is trillions of dollars every single year. People getting paid for absolutely nothing. Union jobs. Hey, you join the union, you work for a certain number of years, and you're going to get a pension while you were lazy on the job, and then you get off and you get to do nothing and get 75% of what you did when you were doing nothing and working. And again, I could go on. The left often talk about systems. And here's what I'll tell you about systems. There's a system. There's a group of leftists taking advantage of the system. Government in and of itself is a system, and leftists they fuel off of it. They definitely they figure out a way to make money off of it. You want to give me the education system? Leftists love it. They fuel themselves from it. They make money from it. The prison system, they make money from it. What? Give me your system. Give me your thing that you go, oh, the system is rigged. And I'll tell you who rigged it is a leftist. And I'll show you how they rigged it, and you'll see the amount of money that comes out of that rigged system. I talk to you guys so often. I feel like it's a broken record to bring up education, but it's one of the biggest ruses. It is. Look at the system that's been set up, for environmentalists, the environmental system, the ecosystem of that, and on down the road. Every one of these systems is so let's just use climate change, for example. That's the environmentalists have ripped us off to pretend that they really care about the environment, that they care about, everybody breathing good, clean air, et cetera, et cetera. And the majority of the nation of America breathes good, clean air. Where the system fails is where there are concentrated leftists, cities. And they could have addressed this long ago by saying, you know what? We're no longer going to allow manufacturing to be done in certain areas within the city. It has to be zoned to where the prevailing winds blow out the smog or whatever. They could have done this. They don't want to do it. They want to tell you that no, the sky is falling down. If you don't do what we tell you, the skies will be black. You're going to be breathing in bad air. Yeah, bad air that they let you breathe in because that's the system that they've set up. That's what we're talking about here. We spend a fortune, folks, fighting against leftists, and sadly, we use our own money. They extort our money to engage in a battle with us, in a battle that they aren't even coming. The only way they can win this battle is with our money, and the battle makes no sense whatsoever. That's the futility of this. That's what bugs me the most. My book, Race Pimping, I don't promote it very much here. racepimping.com if you do want to get it. My book is dedicated to exposing exactly that. I talk about it in almost every part of life where these leftists have destroyed this economy. They tell people it's a system. You want to know who? Black people, you're getting screwed by the system. So black folks get all mad. Oh, the system is messing with us. Then we go screaming, and some white guy is behind the scenes. Some white leftist is behind the scenes laughing all the way to the bank. Well, man, I got them all charged up so I can go make myself some money. Be it through criminal justice, be it through education, some social justice warrior nonsense, whatever. And America becomes more stupid by the day because we aren't training people in math and science and technology. We're training people in how to be stupid social justice warriors with degrees that get you absolutely nothing. And we think we're winning. It's a cost that's ridiculous. It's a cost that we should not be paying, and we need to stop it. That's what I say. We'll be back in a minute.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You must hold on, folks. Kevin Jackson here is who you're listening to. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. And let me tell you why. Because you're going to get tried. That's what we talk about in the vernacular. Man, you going to try me? See, the devil's going to try you. He's going to try you every single day, every moment of the day. I'm not talking about the temptations of life. You know, like, should I eat this cake or should I hit that bike? I'm not talking about that, even though, yeah, the devil's going to try you with that. But the job of the devil is to demoralize you. And if you want to use the cake as a metaphor, yeah, go ahead. Get a little bit bigger. Come on, you'll enjoy that piece of cake, right? Oh, but you're not going to enjoy the weight that it puts on you, which is going to make you feel smaller. But aren't you going to get something good out of that cake? See, the devil ultimately wants to make you feel small. He'll disguise what he's doing to you. It'll feel good temporarily, but it's not going to be good for you in the long run. That's how the left operates, because let's just say it, folks. I'm going to put it out there for you. The left are devils. Yeah, the left. Sneaky sons of guns is what they are. Diabolos. That's Greek for devil and accuser. Talked about this before on the show. It's a dual meaning in Greek. The left operate that way. They are not empowering you. They guise belittlement as empowerment. And they do it with every single group that they attack. That is their modus operandi, is to divide and conquer. And they do that by making you debate the yin and the yang of yourself. Belittlement leads to empowerment. They want women to feel like they're more. Women, you're being beaten down. You're being done. You know, this is being done to you in America now. I'm not talking about around the world. I'm talking about in this country, where women are more free, can do whatever they want to do. They tell them, no, you can't. We have to protect you. We have to get you that little extra money. We have to remind men that they are toxically masculine, which means you are toxically feminine. You know, what's the opposite of that? I don't even know. Women taken back to the dark ages, told that they are little more than the sexual organs that they possess. That's who you are as a person, is to be measured by your genitalia. How sick is that? I was talking to some folks the other day. I said, the left want women to ascribe to be men, not conservative men, leftist men, men like Joe Biden, who will publicly be a pedophile, a public sexual abuser, and they don't care. A man like Bill Clinton, who will be a public sexual abuser of the highest order. Men like Harvey Weinstein that they admire. And I could go on. Men like Barack Obama, who's a metrosexual pansy. That is their definition of men. And those are the men that use and abuse women, that let all the vile things happen to women. They'll use them like Stormy Daniels. Hey, go out and accuse somebody of something. They'll use them like all these Hollywood actresses now. Oh, these men are doing all these vile things. They are talking about their men. They are not talking about conservative men. Now, I'm not exonerating conservative men, that we're, you know, the purest people on the planet, because we're not. We're human beings, flawed. But I'll tell you this. I'll take a conservative man and the life that he's led over any leftist. Any of them. They are vile creatures. They are devils. And the way they treat you is lower than low. They treat us like scum, and they do it openly. Oh, women, we're going to help you. Harvey Weinstein helped a lot of women, didn't he? Bill Clinton helped a lot of women, didn't he? And the people around them, the women on their side, enabled every single one of them. They knew exactly who they were. And I'm not talking about just their mates. I'm talking about people that worked for them, people that worked with them, people that wanted to get with them. But they want you to feel empowered, women, right? These kids are out here marching for guns. Oh, the guns are going to kill us. The chances of you being killed in a school is minuscule and compared to half the things they do in life, like their little Tide Pods and ecstasy and going to raves and a bunch of other crap that they do. But they want to get to the guns, right? Because it's going to empower them. Yeah, same way it empowered the people in Russia that were killed by Stalin, the people who were killed in Thailand by Pol Pot and others. Yeah, they were so empowered after they got their guns taken away. Yeah, that's empowering. Sure it is. They want to take women back to beyond the dark ages. They've removed a woman's femininity, which, by the way, is her strongest weapon. Give me a woman's femininity or give me a gun. I'll take femininity for 2,000, Alex. Are you kidding? It's the most powerful thing in the world. It's an elixir. They do the same for blacks, too. The N-word, right? Oh, we can't say the other thing, so we're going to call it the N-word. Because what? That's going to save black people. A word that we use every day, 10 times a day, and twice as much on Sunday. And they're going to save us from ourselves, right? They're going to save us from that word. Oh, that vile word. Oh, my gosh. How childish is that? Hey, black people, we are now never going to use the other word. We're going to call it the N-word. And I've jokingly said, okay, well, a couple of N-words walk into a bar, really? Does that make you feel better? Then they want to take down statues. Oh my gosh, black people, we can't dare have you walking about statues. They want to remove a flag. Oh, the Confederate flag. Oh my God. And we buy into it. Stupid black people, leftist blacks. They buy into it. Oh my God, we got no Confederate flag, man. He was wearing a Confederate flag. I don't care about your Confederate flag. Dukes of Hazzard, come on, baby. They tell blacks these symbols hurt us. Instead of allowing us to simply ignore them, the average black didn't even think about statues until somebody goes, hey, what's that statue of right there? Well, hey, Democrats, let me explain something to you. All your stuff, you have a legacy of racism. You're going to get rid of everything eventually because your whole legacy's tied to it. Progressives. Go back and look at your first progressive president, Woodrow Wilson, and then let's talk. Yeah. They don't want to let us know that we overcame the men upon which these leftist monuments were built. Give me your Southern monument, I'll give you a loser. I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's a person who lost the war. Yeah, it's a reminder of our conquest as a nation. Not about black folks, not about white folks. It is our conquest as a nation. We can build a statue to the losers, people who fought on behalf of their beliefs and lost. And you know what? We'll honor those men because they fought bravely. Do we agree with the cause? No, but what other statues are out there that you believe in? And what are the statues going to be built in the future? You're going to build a statue over Hogg, David Hogg, this kid that's running around? Let me tell you something. They indulge us. What do you do to children when they want something, right? You indulge them. If they throw tantrums, you give them candy or you give them cake just to shut them the heck up. You don't do that to adults. Adults, you reason with. Then you remind them where they fit in the food chain. If it's your boss, you're throwing a tantrum. Come on, Ted. Blah, blah, blah. And Ted's like, calm down, Susan. Calm down. Well, Ted, I blah, blah, this, that, and the other. I understand. Okay, let's be. And if she continues to go, Susan, hold on a second here. You work for me. You need to calm your butt down. Oh, you're right, Ted. Okay. Do your potential mates, do they indulge your tantrums? How many tantrums could you throw with your mate before somebody goes, I'm done with you, man? We indulge children at times because they're learning, but black leftists aren't learning. They're getting indulged. And these millennials aren't learning. They're being indulged. Now, you guys ask me all the time, Kevin, what's up with the black vote? When they see the destruction that the party's causing the black community, and I could say the same with millennials because they're voting leftists like crazy. And the answer lies with families. But the bigger thing is this, and you're going to remember this segment. See, white kids, the average white kid, lives up to a standard. The average white family says, hey, son, You need to, we've given you a runway and we want you to be better. And so as a white kid, you're aspiring for better. As a black kid, sadly, we aspire not to live down to the expectations of our situation and our parents and our conditions.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.